Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to the Beyond Hope Project podcast. I want to ask a question before we start. Have you ever planted a seed and then later on you forgot all about what you planted and then it sprouts up? Maybe after you've, cleaned up pumpkins and the next year all of a sudden you have pumpkin vines everywhere and you forgot all about those seeds that kind of dropped there. And before you know it, there are all pumpkins, all over your yard or something like that. I received an email or a message this week that was one of those things, and it it totally took me by surprise because I just one, I wasn't expecting it, and two, it was at a time where I didn't really think that what I was doing was maybe that important. In a lot of ways, I was doing it because I just needed money, and I needed to figure out what my whole purpose or what I was trying to do. So I was kind of winging it. There was a short amount of time that I spent doing like guest teaching at the art school I went to, and I approached it without having a clue of how to do any of it because there was no manual. And the goal was to help these young people that were getting ready to go out into the mean streets of being an artist figure out what it was like and how to help navigate those things. And rather than taking the approach of how to teach them what art entails and trying to help them become better artists, my goal in it was to try to help them figure out what it's going to take to navigate the art world of trying to figure yourself out. And that's what my approach was to it. So I would typically start the class out with 10 to 15 minutes of some YouTube video that I found that was inspiring, and then try to have a conversation with it and give them a little bit of sort of motivational thing. And then we would go around and I would look at their work and give them real world things and, feedback and all that good stuff like that. Not really trying to help them become better artists because at this point in time, these kids were getting ready to graduate. So there wasn't much that I was going to influence them in terms of their artwork to make it better. But what I did feel like I was going to be able to do was to maybe help influence them a little better in terms of like how life is going to show up for you when you go out there and you're putting yourself out there, like what we do when we're doing anything creative, like what you do whenever you're doing anything that seems out of your wheelhouse and it feels like you're alone and you're naked and you're walking down the street and everybody's staring at you and you just don't know what to do. And it's hard to take the criticism and all that stuff like that. But I felt like I maybe could give them a little bit of the tools to navigate that stuff because I had been doing it myself. So it went fine, no big deal. But then one semester, a lot of kids took offense to some of this stuff, and before canceling things, kind of ended up just kind of saying, I think I've had enough. And I left. And, fast forward, you never know what impression that you leave on somebody until they decide to show up and tell you. And a lot of times what I have found is that these moments are like little surprises in your life because you might be going through something yourself and you're not really sure how to handle it. But then sometimes magically the universe will show you some sort of thing that you've been doing the right thing all along. And that push that you're feeling, it indeed is what is the true you. And that's what I got this week was a message from a former student that just took the time to tell me that how much they think about what I talked about all the time and how it helps them navigate through tough times. And that I was like one of the only teachers that had a positive impact. And that my response to them was simple of like, for one, like, this is amazing that you would take the time to do this. Uh, but in a funny way, it was always that, as any art student is, or any sort of person that's like super sensitive, is that you probably aren't going to remember me, but, and I totally remember all the kids that were in that class. Sometimes it takes a little bit of jogging in memory, but in this one in particular, there was actually two messages I got this week, which is, that confirmation, I think, that I am on the right path of what I should be doing with this and the other work that I'm doing, the keynotes, the books, all these other things that you may not be aware of right now, but behind the scenes, I've been planting seeds all along that are starting to grow. And it's pretty amazing to watch those things sprout too. But in that, a lot of times you feel like you want to question it all and wonder if the things that you're doing are really in line with the things that you want to be. And I have always found that the universe will show you these moments when you least expect it. And these little surprises are kind of like that little touch on the shoulder that says like, you're doing a good job. You're doing it right. And that's what this was. And why I bring that up is because it was the small act of somebody taking the time to send me a message to just tell me that they appreciated me. And I want to encourage you to do the same for somebody else. That there's probably somebody out there that you can think of that had some sort of influence on you, that helped you navigate through a tough time, or they just said the right thing when you needed it, and it could have been just a quick little crisscross. Just take a moment, to set a timer to thank them, whether it's sending a message or whether it's just if they're even no longer here, setting some time just to sit down and just be grateful for that person and what they brought to your life. That little moment of gratitude is going to pay dividends for you in terms of, one, reconnecting you with a time where you felt inspired. And it's also going to pay dividends in the fact that you're putting the good stuff out there in the world that's going to come back to you tenfold. Now in my response to this person, it was just a quick little, wow, gee, thank you for thinking of me like that. But really what I was thinking inside was that it's amazing that this person that caught me at a time where in my life I was questioning so much about myself, but the fact that I would go in there every time I would go into class with the intentions of showing up and just being present and trying to make the world a better place, how that seed comes back and pays later as I'm doing the same thing again, but no longer not hating myself so much. And it's amazing how quickly that ball catches up. And when you get those confirmations, this is when I want to encourage you to keep moving forward into those things. Keep stepping into those paths where you might be right now on the sidelines, standing in front of this path that you have stared in front of 100 times, wondering whether or not you can be brave enough to take the step down this path because you're not so sure how this will play out. And maybe you're telling yourself all the reasons why it never will. But at the same time, what if, what if you're wrong? Like, what if you do step into that and those things do show up in a different way? And there are people watching, and those people are going to be cheering you on. And this is the crazy part, is their small act of bravery and reaching out to thank you for what you did is monumental to them, the same as it is you right now sitting on this bench and not wanting to take the step down your path. But by doing that, what you're doing is releasing that good energy into the world of what you can be, and what you're able to do is welcome back that same love and acceptance to yourself. And it's just one of those moments that I had to catch myself kind of looking back and going like, man, if they would have known what I felt like inside and what that version of me would have felt if that person would have said it then, it would have fallen flat. It wouldn't have had the same impact. Of course, I would have acted as if I really appreciated it and all stuff like that, which I would have, but I wouldn't have believed it, and I wouldn't have internalized it and used it as what it was intended for, which was that confirmation of what I'm doing is the right thing. And those are all the things that I look back now after going through, brain cancer and going through all this stuff and being, 3 years past and still being here and being able to wake up each day grateful for being here, is that these moments happen in our lives all the time. This was just a direct message from on social media to me, but how many times do those things happen in your life? How many times do you get those little confirmations that are showing you that you're doing the right stuff, that you will brush off because one, you don't feel like you deserve it, or two, it just doesn't seem like it should be that impactful. But and the truth is that it has everything to do with impact and all the powerful stuff that you've been looking for that helps you get down your path. So I just wanted to hop on here and just tell you how grateful I was for that and just share this. It was a very confusing feeling, if I'm being honest, probably as confusing as this episode sounds right now, because I'm still trying to process through the idea of, why did it take a brain tumor for me to wake up to me? And, you know, I can only imagine if I'm having those questions, there's a lot of you that are listening to these things that are having those same questions. Maybe you're questioning whether or not you have what it is inside of you to be the things that you're looking to do. And the best way I can say is that realize that you're planting seeds right now. And those seeds may not come to fruition in a week or maybe a few years, because it's been, I don't even know how long since I've done that. It has to have been 6-7 years ago. I don't know, maybe even more, since I was doing that. And to have that short little message change so much, not only the way I continue to look at life, but the gratitude and the love I feel in my life now, it just adds so much to my world. And I encourage you all to do the same and pay attention to the signs and realize that even in your lowest lows, those signs show up for a reason. They're there to show you the right way, the path forward. And it is us that chooses to ignore them. And maybe what you should do is start to walk towards them. And in that process, you're going to start to uncover maybe what it is that you're looking for all along. And most of the time, it's going to be hidden behind everything you're afraid to face. So with that, that's going to be what I have to say today. I want to thank you for your time today, listening to the podcast as we spread hope. And, I know that life is tough, and sometimes we're really struggling to figure out what the path forward is. And you never know what everybody else is going through. But what I do know is that you woke up today, you're hearing this, and that's a pretty amazing place to start, because not everybody got to do that today, and you did. And, you bring a unique thing to this world, and what's stuck between your ears that you're too afraid to tell everybody about could be the very thing that will set yourself free, could be the seeds that you plant that one day you might have somebody come back to you and say, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there for me. You showed me a way where I thought there was no way. And I just appreciate you for that. And that will be healing medicine for you. So guys, it's not easy being a human, and there's always going to be ups and downs, and things are going to go sideways, but you're doing a great job. And I know you don't know me, but I just want you to know that you're supported, that you're loved, and way more than you think you are. And that above all else, I just hope that you hear yourself in my story and you see something there that will help you and help you get to where you want to go. So I hope this helps.
Foxland Media. Think big.